Hey people, it is Saturday, September the 21st. The time is 3:50 in the afternoon, and it's about 24 Celsius, feeling more like 30 with the humidex. I'm just crossing Avenue Road here on Dupont, or I should say Davenport. I'm making my way to Dupont though. And once I get to Dupont, I'll just take a nice walk heading west along a good chunk of that street. Davenport here sort of curves up to the northwest and eventually will intersect with Dupont. And Dupont Street is a street undergoing a very dramatic transformation. Lots of new residential buildings, replacing some old shabby-looking semi-industrial buildings. We're sort of skirting along the northern edges of downtown. We have the Yorkville and Annex neighborhood just to the south of where I am now. And this part of Davenport is also changing quite a bit in recent years with new residential developments, mostly mid-rise, with a few taller ones popping up here and there. And as you can see, it's an extremely busy street. Traffic is crazy. Rendering of another new building coming to the neighborhood. I imagine in another 10 years or so, this area will seem much more built up and more in the heart of downtown as opposed to feeling like it's on the edges. There's a CN Tower appearance. I think Dupont Street is just right up ahead. You can see the street sort of just curves continuously as it runs through the city. I think it was an old trail before Toronto was Toronto. And part of Davenport Road also follows the lake bed of Lake Iroquois, which is an ancient lake which no longer exists, although Lake Ontario is basically a much smaller version of Lake Iroquois. one time ancient Lake Iroquois came all the way up to this part of the city before it was the city. It's a brand new building. So we're basically heading north right now. Once we take a left here at Dupont, we'll be heading west. And here's Dupont. This is close to the beginning of Dupont Street, really. Just go a bit further west to Avenue Road, and that's where Dupont Street begins. Actually, I think there's a cool view of some of the skyline if you walk down the other way, but I'll have to show that in another video. But let's start heading west. So Dupont Street, along some stretches, is a pretty traditional looking commercial strip. Other stretches it has more of an industrial look. It's certainly not a very pretty street overall. As I mentioned, lots of new residential buildings are springing up along it, some of which are very attractive. And this isn't a very hip or popular commercial strip by any means. Doesn't see nearly the same amount of foot traffic as Bloor Street to the south or St. Clair to the north. But there's some cool spots along here. The Dupont bus. There's a subway station called Dupont Station. That's a bit up ahead. And as I mentioned, this is sort of like the northern boundary of the Annex neighborhood, so beautiful residential streets all around this area. See the local BIA is called Dupont by the Castle. That's referring to Casa Loma. which is to the north of here, but is visible from some stretches of the street here as we move west. Casa Loma lies on top of what was the lake bed of ancient Lake Iroquois. So it's perched on high ground. Sidewalk closed, all right. Doesn't seem to be any work going on, but thanks for letting us know. And here's Dupont Station. So this is line 1 of the subway, the University Spadina side of line 1.
I don't want him.
Speaking of Spadina, we're crossing Spadina Road, or is it Spadina Road? And I caught a glimpse of Casa Loma up there. I don't know if that will appear in the video. Does look south with another CN Tower sighting. This new residential building is actually really nice, very high-end looking. This older one beside has a lot of character, although it doesn't seem to be in very good shape right now. Looks like it's vacant. But yeah, the finishes on this one are quite high-end. Some more old traditional homes here, semi-detached. A lot of these new mid-rise residential buildings are on the site of what used to be big industrial properties. Because the CP rail line lies just immediately to the north of Dupont Street here. So a lot of industrial enterprises set up shop along the rail line. Easy access for shipping. And that rail line is still active. And a lot of industrial businesses still operate, obviously, along Dupont Street. these sorts of things here, like car washes and garages and that sort of thing are quite prevalent. A lot of them look kind of out of place now, so close to these new buildings. Or is it the other way around? It's like, move out of the way. This building also looks high-end. Most of them seem to be. We'll see what kind of effect that has on the street as time goes by. Okay. Got a perfectly good mirror up for the grabs here. The good thing about these new residential buildings, or one of the good things, is oftentimes new retail will appear on the ground level that maybe wasn't there before. If it was some sort of derelict property or abandoned industrial building. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. That's not a condo. Not too many residential builds of that height are built with a steel frame. Yeah, I'm curious what that is. I'll have to check it out later. We're at Bathurst, and across the street is Vesta Lunch. That's a very famous business here in Toronto. It's been located there since 1955. Open 24 hours. This is Bathurst Street. So this will take you down to Bloor Street, and Bathurst subway station is down there. And in that direction, you'll eventually come upon St. Clair Avenue and St. Clair West subway station. Detroit Pizzeria. Whatever that is. Another old abandoned looking building. And the clock does not work. And another new mid-rise. Not quite as high-end looking as the other ones. The cladding is definitely a lot more cheaply done on this building. And now we're moving into the West End, really. Definitely away from downtown. Downtown is not as looming in this part of Dupont as it was earlier in the walk. Bathurst Street is usually regarded as the dividing line if you're heading west between the downtown central area and the West End. But then again, Bloor Street is regarded as the northern boundary, and we're well north of Bloor. It's an old building with a lot of character. You can see this sort of more industrial type enterprises popping up. Mural coming. Please do not tag walls. And here's the mural. But I bet you before too long, some lame brain numbskull will come along and put their stupid tag all over this nice mural. And that nice old building doesn't look as nice on this side. Like a big shed. Backs onto the rail line, which is just on the other side of this parking lot where you see the fences there. That's where the tracks are. Papa Mio's, best Italian sandwiches in town. See, these are the kind of places that make it fun to walk through these neighborhoods. Got a rocking chair up for grabs. Seems to be in working order. I'm not going to try it out or anything, but based on a visual assessment anyway. And here's where Clinton Street begins here at Dupont. This is a pretty neat street that will take you all the way down to Little Italy in the south, at College Street and past College. We have some more traditional retail storefronts here. Thai restaurant. Got a bar here. The Loop Line. This one, I'm not sure what that is. No signage. Got a hair salon. And they were a chocolate store, but they moved. And this one looks
4 seconds.
all boarded up and vacant. Not sure what was here before. It looked like it was a cafe or a restaurant. Here is Christie Street. This is another interesting street if you walk south. Yeah, this poor old building though is in need of some TLC. It's getting all tagged. Has a lot of character. Hopefully another new interesting business will open up shop there. This looks like it was an old bank building at one time. Now it's an A&W. And then we transition back to residential again. And another mid-rise addition to the neighborhood. This one has a Farm Boy grocery store. It's kind of an expensive grocery store. This building does seem somewhat high-end, so maybe they can afford it. residential building on the rise right up ahead. Walking directly into the sun. And these houses aren't tall enough to block it, really. Only the trees can provide me with some shade here. That's a good tree. These houses are sort of cute, but not super small. They're a good size, really. And they're fully detached also, although very closely spaced together. Another bunch of storefronts. Crossing Shaw. This is the street with the infamous utility hole in the supposedly safe bike lane that Action Kid unfortunately hit with his scooter. That was way to the south though.
Like a change.
It's a good sized building. A really big old abandoned factory used to sit on this corner. That was all covered with graffiti. It was a bit of a landmark in the neighborhood for many years. And I think some local artists made use of it also for studios for a time. And I was a bit sad to see it torn down. You could argue that this is a better use of the land, some new residential, but that old building had a lot of character. I guess it only exists now in old photos, or if you look back in time on Google Street View. And we're at Ossington Avenue, on the corner with Joe's Convenience. There's quite a strange assortment of things up for offer here outside. So just cross the street, and then I'm going to start to wrap up this walk as we look back at Joe's Convenience here on the corner of Ossington and Dupont. Looks like it was another guy's convenience before it was Joe's. You still see the old name underneath Joe. But I hope you enjoyed the walk along Dupont Street, starting from Davenport actually, and Avenue Road, but then we just continued along Davenport up to where it intersected with Dupont and continued west, checking out some of the changes along a sort of interesting hodgepodge of a streetscape. So I hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment down below, let me know your thoughts, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And also be sure to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any of my videos. And if you'd like to support the channel, there are links in the description where you can do so via PayPal, as well as via my merch store. Or you can also support the channel by sending a super thanks, or by becoming a channel member if you like. And you can find me on Instagram also under KContinuum. So thanks for watching, and thanks to all the channel members. And be sure to keep checking back, because as always, I will continue.